be more than what the Agile Manifesto said. I put a line at the bottom saying, I don't know if you said working product, but if he did, that would have been the right thing. Working product at the end of every iteration, and we really mean it. That's what we emphasized. So the Agile Manifesto is a historical artifact, and none of the authors want to change it. It is what it is, and so all you Agile folks do what you do with it, right? And so there's plenty of room for new ideas and new ways of thinking.
We are there. War is peace. Freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. So Scrum is Agile exactly the same way, and we're gonna. Okay, that's perfect. So guys, I had decided. Actually, my team and we had decided to the Agile because and all in for Bitcoin blockchain protocol and so on. So we're gonna have a lot of debate on this and how actually agility could help those defeat. It's a defeat on decentralized finance, all the decentralization. It's in line in my equation I do with business agility, conscious leadership, and so on. And also we're going to do our vision board all together, my team and I, about like what's going to be the 6 years of the Agile Lounge for business agility, providing training, coaching, and facilitation. We're going to emphasize on the facilitation, how to help you, to accompany you into your path. I prefer path than journey of you to uncover new ways of producing things. I would like to thank again this week. I've got another 7 new subscribers on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So I would like to thank Jacinthe Milbourne for his 20 euros donation. And also we have a donation and Bitcoin. Those is my preferred one. If you'd like to give me Satoshi, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, I prefer that. Or even the Crib coin. That's the only 4 that I will accept. And again, guys, in the YouTube video, all the links are in the description to give me a PayPal me and any currency. And we do this. It's voluntary, of course. I'm not making a lot of money with that, but it shows your appreciation. It's help us continue to transfer this information and create those content. And if you could help me finish, like it's just like it's to cut the expense. It's not to make money. It's to cut the expense actually. So, and you know, a donation, it's sometimes more powerful than a thumbs up. But of course, you should thumbs up this video if you liked it. You should share it to friends to spark their mind. And it's really important because we could defy the algorithm with that. And we have a guest that will join us in the second segment. Someone that you saw on the Dare Real Agile podcast. Actually, he's in my top 3, with, of course, John McAfee. I didn't interview John McAfee, but I got the permission of Barcelona blockchain conference to put one of his segments embedded into a video to commemorate his passing. So that was one of the top 1. And since we did 2 days later, but it was published a week after, a great podcast of the Dare Real Agile podcast. So both are very high ranking. So Daniel is a great guest, and we're going to have him today at the second part to chat about decision rights. And it's going to be very interesting if you'd like to uncover new ways and not force change into your organization with your people. You never force these concepts. Today, again, like last week, I brought you back the pragmatic Dave Thomas talking about Agile is dead, that he started that kind of reflection back in 2015. We had in 2016, Daniel Mezick, actually, with Martin Fowler, talking about the Agile Industrial Complex. But if you watch carefully the Go-To conference in Amsterdam, I think they kind of all agree. Ron Jeffrey also made a paper back in September 2016 about it. And still there are a lot of people who are making articles out of the sudden on both LinkedIn and Medium talking about the death of Scrum, the inefficiency of Scrum, the what have you. It's incredible. And even myself, I get some more slack time. And sometimes I read it with atonement because I just don't understand. I think people should focus on what they have to consult, coach, and so on. So that will probably, but I need to do this because as a very real agilist, as an open business agility person, it's not a question of having opinion on stuff and thing. And I would like to actually read you a quote from a great guy, one of the co-signatory of the Manifesto for Agile Software Development, and like the book they made with Ken Schwaber. So on keeping Scrum going well, a coach called the ScrumMaster helps. That was from Mike Beedle. So yes, because about Scrum being agile and the Scrum Master not having access to everyone in your organization, this is lame. I'm going to tell you right now, it's lame. Okay?
That was easy.
Yeah, that was easy. It's easy to say. I know it's hard to do. I've been a Scrum Master since 1999, and now they call me an Agile coach, an enterprise Agile coach. I don't care about the title. You see, my title is Coach AF. Yes. It's Coach AF. I'm coaching you to become an entrepreneur. I'm coaching you to adopt the principle and values and create patterns. This is more importantly, and I'm sure Daniel will agree with me later on that, because it's one thing to understand the value and the principle. Now, how do you manage to create pattern within your organization, inviting people to make decisions, to make those change happen? Because if there's no will, there's no love. Is there no love, there's no why. And if there's no why, you will never achieve a how and what to do. So for me, it's really clear that when I was a Scrum Master back in the day at SoftSim Technology, they give me the full-on thing to experiment with the team of engineer and designer and everything. And of course, to go with the PO, meet the client, gather information, having the proper person. So, I was facilitating absolutely everything. I was also giving kind of insight to the CFO to understand how the budgeting works. So if you have in your organization a Scrum Master who's just doing the chart and the retrospective and applying the by the book thing, I'm sorry, this is lame. This is totally lame. And this is why probably a lot of, especially developers, come up, programmer with passion, like we saw last week. They go on Medium and they say Agile is fail and why it's going to continue to fail, because they don't feel as a programmer engaged into it. And especially we use those systems like Scrum or extreme programming or that works in complexity software engineering environment. If your stuff is very banal or it's don't require and you better stay in the kind of a waterfall, I will be the first as a consultant, as an agnostic Agile coach, to tell you irritating when they say that the Scrum Master don't have access to the entire stakeholders in the organization, because he's a coach. He's a coach at the first time. We call them Scrum Master because they master the Scrum system. They've been using it, we hope so, because any coach that never use or never practice something, for me, it's a lame coach. It's a fake coach. That's great, and that is influencing this agile industrial complex that Mr. Mezick and Fowler and others, and in the case of pragmatic Dave Thomas, used to call it like agile is now an industry. So you see, so we and it's an adjective. Agile, it's an adjective. And now I saw some papers from, I don't know, coaches and people on LinkedIn, and I kind of argue with them. And I saw someone saying that Scrum is Agile on Instagram, and she's a promoter of helping newbie Scrum Master. She does a very amazing and astonishing world. If I had someone like her in 1999 when I started playing with Scrum, that would have been nice to help me gather this thing. But move forward 25 some years later, so that's the thing. So we could be there, but I was astonished that she never read the book from Schwaber and Mike Beedle on Agile Software Development with Scrum. Is it the proper title? Anyways, and that was the same thing with them not knowing the history of Scrum, and that Scrum and XP are kind of like Jeff Sutherland told us in Austin, Texas in 2019, the last Scrum gathering that we had with Scrum Alliance, where he says in a sense, most of the people were were from the Scrum movement and the XP movement. Ken Beck, I think, right? You'll tell me later. So anyways, so they were like talking about like they knew that was a lean system, and even I have a lot of conversation with my fellows about it of Enterprise Scrum and others that in 2001, what happened when the outcome of the manifesto with the 4 values, the 12 principles, and the kind of suggested techniques to go on, they knew themselves that they call it agile for the emulation of being able to adapt quickly and respond to change quickly. But the equation that even Beedle told me and taught me was like it was all the lean way of producing the things, cutting all the excess, going to the point of delivery that was important and meaningful value rapidly, okay? And they add the customer integration, not just the user like inside of computer programming. No, the customer integration. And customer, you could define it like any experience. They put the experience. And for me, back then, as a CRM and CX designer, that was a bliss. So that equation, lean plus customer integration and customer experience, made the Agile movement back in 2001. And then the business agility movement that took place in 2000 with Mike Beedle and Enterprise Scrum, but you move forward and stuff. So, and I was very surprised when this updated guide on Scrum came up last November for the 25th anniversary. That a lot of people complained that, they remove Agile and they talked about lean. Yes, because Scrum that was used even though in the manufacturing system and in the late 1980s, it's a lean system. It was Scrum project management even though. Could you imagine that? So it's have nothing to do with this kind of Agile culture that's been built in the last 20 years since the Manifesto. And the Manifesto, if you just call it Agile Manifesto, Dave Thomas is going to smash you in the face because it was for software development. It's the business agility movement with the coming back of the open space, the OSA from Jim McCarthy, I think, that is the real revolution. I will insist on that. It's that revolution because now we try to agilize everything in the organization. And even yours truly with the next level Agile program, we are agilizing the community who wants to build a more self-managed, not just self-organized, but I don't know if it's the proper word in English because in French, we're going to say autogestion, which is, gestion, it's managing, okay? It's the administration of our community, the water supply, the food supply, the sovereignty food stuff. So, and they like these principles of the open business agility to make their charter happen. And we move a lot on that. So we work with a lot of people in Texas, Florida, Arizona, Salvador, Mexico, Costa Rica, building those community that they want to opt out of this more and more globalized and centralization. And the same thing happened with this Bitcoin protocol movement. So for me, when I call it next level Agile, I don't want to coin and use Agile as a name. No, it's an adjective. It's a next level, adjectively, qualitatively, to help those who want more subsumption and more decentralization. So for me, I have to call out the violation when people say Scrum is Agile. No, Scrum and XP, in a sense, like Jeff told us in May 2019, with the history of Scrum and the Manifesto, of course, it's a great contributor of creating the Agile Manifesto for software development. But nowadays, let's stay in the present. Scrum, it's a lean system. So it's not for you. I mean, it's to create a unicorn in a complex environment, empirically, using empirism. So that's my point. And that's my way of, instead of losing a lot of time and my screen time, answering everyone on Medium and LinkedIn, I'm telling you right now here, and probably I will copy and paste this video that will stay, especially on my YouTube channel, to provide you the answer when I will see someone complaining that Agile fell when it's the people that fail, because Agile, in a sense, as an adjective, you have to invest in it. You have to be invited. And the same with Scrum. And if you understand the Scrum roles, And that's funny because I had a chat this week with some of my coaches that I actually coach, and they even go through again this old useless debate of the difference between a Scrum Master and an Agile coach. For me, there's none. The organization make it different because they try to make a leveling. So, because a Scrum Master, in a sense, as I said, should have access to the CEO of a company of any size, right? That's the essence. So why do you need an enterprise Agile coach to do this? Why do you need to come this name? I don't like to have this name on my title on LinkedIn, but apparently those who request job, they need it because a Scrum Master, especially in the market of Quebec and Montreal, in the French market, they see a Scrum Master like a secretary, like someone who just do workflow diagram and stuff like this and managing Jira. This is like, for me, it's bad, especially as a certified Scrum educator with Scrum Alliance. This is very bad, guys, because your Scrum Master has a lot of value. He is a coach, and if you really want to use the Scrum system to create your framework of software development and anything else, because with Enterprise Scrum, this is what we learn, we could agilize everything with that system. And now you're going to say like, hey, Coach F, hold on a second. You just say like, Scrum is a lean system. Yes, factually, Scrum is a lean system. But as a big contributor of the Agile value and principle, it could help you tailor framework to agilize everything, to be more adaptive, change the adjective Agile by flexible. And I think Scrum is the most configurable framework to help you do this. But you have to have the strength, the focus, and the courage of a lean mindset, which is not this kind of rainbow culture of the HR invading the Agile movement. I won't say that much. And again, it's on invitation. You don't force a system or a framework, because that's the thing. It's not the mindset that will fail. It's a bad pattern created by people who are not engaged that will fail. So I'm sick and tired of seeing all of those people claiming that Agile is dead. It's far from dead, because all of these movements of the early 21st century that include the Agile Manifesto for software development, the business agility movement, the OSA that came back more like open space agility, and everything that I know my friend you will join us very soon. I see him nodding like in the waiting room. You're coming very soon. I think let's see on my program. Let's bring my friend here.
Hey,
Daniel.
how you doing?
Very good. Yourself?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. I don't know if you are listening. My first segment, my editorial on all those paper that's flooding Medium.com and LinkedIn and all those debate. I mean, it's been 2 weeks. I spending time and energy of trying to explain people that the mindset could not die itself unless you create, like Dave Thomas explained at the GoTo conference. You probably watched that video. It's a classic. That he says like, oh, but Agile is a noun, and you said it with fear. So, anyways, Daniel, and now this week that was like, oh, the Scrum Master is not a coach. What? And I found out in my notes with Mike Beedle, this great quote that he had. He keep telling us like, well, Scrum will going well if a coach called the Scrum Master helps the team.
Yeah.
The organization.
I actually have a link I want to show about that. It's right from the Scrum Guide. Can I do that right now? Can I share my... Here, it says, the Scrum Master serves the organization in the following ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's
my point. Here's my point about this. I agree with you 1,000%. I join you with the idea that the Scrum Master is an Agile coach. Agile coach is the Scrum Master. Why? Because in the Scrum Guide, it says right here, the Scrum Master leads the organization in its Scrum adoption. And it says right here, the Scrum Master plans and advises the Scrum implementation within the organization. We call that coaching task. It's actually Scrum Master task. So
yeah.
Scrum Master job has been, how can I say this? Been demoted, okay, to the level of a clerk. But the reality is that the Scrum Master is the coach. This is the reality of it all. If you're doing the full thing.
Yeah. And this is why in Enterprise Scrum, we just say it's a coach and it's an owner because it will appeal to an owner of what? Are you owning a solution, a product, and what have you? So we make it clear. And John McFadden, a great guy, I don't know if you know him, when I was back in London meeting him on the year after Mike passed away, and he kind of made a tribute to the Enterprise Scrum ways of simplifying the language because that's a problem. And me, I was so happy to see a 13-page Scrum guide because when I started being a Scrum Master in 1999, I didn't have any guide. I didn't have anything. We were alone, the engineer, the designer, and the business owner doing the shit according to any literature and the HBRP paper that was there and so on. So for years, anyways, so I love it. I'm passionate about it. And I can wait to meet you guys because one of the reasons I bring you back is because people love you. As I told you, you were in the top 10 of many of the countries in Northern Europe on the podcast, the audio podcast especially. And I don't know what happened on YouTube because you were at 85 views and all of a sudden they corrected the view down. I don't know why. But yeah, and could you imagine you beat my commemoration of John McAfee?
Wow.
Yes. So.
That's pretty good. So he's killing viruses and I'm spreading them, but my viruses are good.
I love your virus, my friend. I love it. And I'm not just doing it to be agreeable, but I agree so far. Probably we don't agree on everything. And on the course of our networking and relationship, we might agree to disagree at some point, and that's okay.
We can disagree on all kinds of things, but we agree on the core things, and that's what matters, and that's why we're friends.
Exactly, and I really appreciate you coming back, and especially at 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks now? Because time going so fast. I know it's August 18, invitation-based conference, and I got a lot of questions following our podcast that we didn't put too much thing about the decision rights. So I would like, if you'd like to take some time, we have about 15-20 minutes, just give my audience and the people that, because it's open to everyone, I'm open to everyone, I'm fully public, and right now, we're live, huh? We're live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
So, but you could dare, whatever, I don't mind to be hit by censorship. There's no censorship. We're not talking about the thing that we don't need to talk. But decision rights, I think there's something that when I talk to people about it and the emails I receive after our broadcast, they said really, it's part of Scrum, right? I didn't know that. And so, yeah, so it's amazing. And great coaches, they didn't know that.
Well, they better figure it out pretty fast because most of your impediments are wrapped up around skirmishes about decision rights, who decides, and then who decides is also an issue.
Yeah. So
look, let's put this thing in context, right? We are right now at pure imposition.
Hold on, I will do something here to make your screen bigger. Is it no? Sorry. Nah.
We are at pure imposition in right now. Okay.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
This is where we are.
Yeah.
This is because of the Agile Industrial Complex that showed up around 2016, and there was interest in scaling agility. Okay, back in 2014. This is the full timeline of the thing that I want you to see, okay? This is basically a lesson in how to destroy a company. This is the timeline of the Agile world. Think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Manifesto in 2001, and right now we're at pure imposition. So what's the problem here? The problem is that people are disempowered to have to be able to self-manage. You discussed self-management and self-organization before very briefly. I want to clarify something for your listeners. When we talk about self-organization, we're not talking about flocks of birds or termites or ants or fish schooling. That's all self-organization. But when we work, we're in a goal-seeking enterprise, okay? What we're really doing when we self-manage, ask yourself the question for a minute. When we talk about self-management, what is it that's being managed? Just think for a minute about what is it that's being managed. I'm going to offer a hypothesis.
But
when humans self-manage, they are managing decisions that affect their own work.
Yeah.
Okay? That's it. So the decision rights are a very, very big deal. And what's happened is we have completely disempowered people. It's killed the self-management because there's no decisions to decide anymore because external forces make those decisions for us, beginning with imposing the practices.
And what will be the external forces? that make decisions for them?
Authority figures who have budget authority, they fund it and then they walk away, and they have external coaches telling people what they should do. Then let's say that the external coaches, let's say that the guy's name is Elvis. When Elvis leaves the building, it all collapses.
Yeah.
Because,
I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what goes on. The other thing that I'm keen on showing your people is this diagram. Okay, this diagram right here. Practices are informed by patterns.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have been enslaved by the tyranny of practice frameworks. Okay, this has resulted in low levels of engagement. What we need to be doing is getting back to patterns, because patterns offer freedom of implementation. A practice can be, a pattern is informed by principles. Practices are informed by patterns. Any one of these patterns can be implemented in many different kinds of practices that the people can pick from and choose. And I want to show you something here. These are the core patterns right here. I want to do the screen share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to show you this one screen. Let's see, where is it? Okay, here it is. And I'm going to allow this, I guess, yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's loading. Here it is. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love it. The 8 patterns of open business agility.
Open business agility starts with leaders who invite people in to express their passion and their responsibility around things that need to be done.
And this is what we're going to have as testimony in the conference on August 18, right? Among other things.
That's correct. And not just testimony from consultants, because sometimes you and I can tell too rosy of a story.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the actual executives who are going to tell you about the scar tissue they have when they use these patterns and what they learned. Okay. The one thing I want to say to your people, leadership invitation is the keystone pattern. Okay. This is the one that engages and ignites the people. All the other patterns, the other 7, support the leadership invitation pattern. So these are so for example, if you look at boundary management, explicit agreement, and clarity of authorization, those are well expressed in Scrum. Good Scrum.
Yes.
Good Scrum, everyone knows what they have authorized to do and not authorized to do.
About this good Scrum, dark Scrum, bad Scrum, fail Scrum, what would you say to people who've been judged or pointed as purists of using the Scrum lean system, right? Because we all agree that Scrum is not agile. I love, like, you saw my title is War is Peace, Slavery is Strength. I mean, like, come on. Like, saying Scrum is agile is exactly in the same way of Orwell. So it's very dangerous, I think, and people don't understand it. They don't know what they do. They don't even know what they are being at the first place. So, but when I mean, like, for me, when I was younger, when people say, "Oh, you're a Scrum purist," I said, like, well, I'm not. If you say purist by the book, I'm far from by the book, because I didn't have a book for the first 13 years of my practice as a Scrum Master. I think the first guide came in 2007. Is it? The first guide? The first Scrum guide that Ken and Jeff Ward, was it? No, not the book. Yes, of course, this. That was like, yeah, that was the only thing that I read back in the day in 1999 to start making things. And I was very engineer oriented, right? But I mean, like, what I'm saying is, being a purist or a good Scrum or great Scrum Master, should I say, it's nothing to do about applying anything by the book. It's au contraire, having his ear wide open and understand the context of the business you are making your consultancy, if you're a consultant. Because nowadays, I don't know for you in the United States, guys, because most of my work as a Scrum Master was in like in Austin, Phoenix, and so on. And a Scrum Master is a very high-level, sometimes engineer that have the process success. He's really there to help on the process success of the chosen Scrum. Work with XP or pair programming. There's always something else. Yep. There's always another kind of software cycle development.
Let's get back to the decision rights.
Yes.
There's a lot of very light surface level Scrum going around. And if you want to implement the full thing, the true thing, then you must implement the decision rights by role. So, for example, in the previous version of the Scrum Guide, it said for the product owner to be successful, everyone in the organization must respect his or her decisions. So there's a clear example of the decision rights, that how it's essential to implement them, or you're going to have trouble. Okay. Same thing with like the daily Scrum. That's the team's meeting. They design it. It's for them. They're an authority there. They have decision rights for those 15 minutes in that room. If you implement those things, you are going to change your culture. I want to say one thing to your folks, and then I want to hear your comment. I can change the culture of your organization in 3 days. And the way I'm going to do this is by implementing the Scrum decision rights all the way. So the first thing that happens when you define a boundary is that boundary gets tested.
Yep.
Okay. So then when people test the boundary and the executive maintains the integrity of the boundary and says, no, the product owner owns the decision on prioritization, go to him or her, you have no rights there. The product owner has full decision rights on prioritization of the backlog. When people learn that and then that story gets around, that will change your culture. What do you think?
I think I experienced it 3 times in my career, but I saw there was a prerequisite to that.
Okay.
The complete agreement and support from the C-level and all the stakeholders anywhere in the organization.
That is one of the patterns that I teach.
Okay.
It's in the book, and it's in the class, and here it is right here. Explicit agreements, clarity of authorization, and the management of the boundaries on those agreements.
Exactly.
That's exactly what you just described.
And you know that I did it without having the knowledge that you put on screen.
No, you had it. You just didn't have a name for it.
Exactly. So that's and for me that was like the just logical and natural thing to do when people interaction, the substantion that we learn in physics, and then we apply in Scrum, because Scrum is an empirical process. So let's try things, and then the boundaries will morph and change along that you improve your decision and so on. And it's not just on the product. A lot of people are focusing on product management. That's okay. But I mean, of course, the outcome should be what you sell as an organization, whether it's a software or something else. Because what I love with Scrum is you could create those patterns for non-IT organization as well. So.
But you've got to be good at basic, competent, basic Scrum before you can go to business agility. Let's talk about this for a minute. We know Jeff Sutherland teaches, and I love the video you showed of Jeff there. He's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, that's a good quality. I was doing it with my iPhone and the.
No, it was great. It was perfect. It was just what needed to be repeated. You captured it perfectly. This whole idea of business agility. Okay, if you want to scale, and I'm going to put out a hypothesis, and then you tell me what you think. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if we want to do good Scrum, number one, we work with willing teams first in the pilot, because willing teams actually de-risk.
Yes, and capable people, and
capable, engaged, willing people are going to kill it with Scrum, and that's what happens in most pilots. Okay. Then we get organizational amnesia, and we want to scale it, but we forget that those teams are willing teams in the pilot, right, Alex? And then we push it on unwilling teams. We never ask them what they think, which is actually contrary to the empirical process of gathering feedback and evidence, right? And then we wonder why we say Scrum doesn't work. So before you scale, 2 things have to be true. You have to work with willing teams, and you have to be doing good, competent Scrum, or it's not going to scale.
Exactly.
Okay, so until you get there, you have no shot at business agility. I want to tell you why. You want to scale empirical approach like Scrum across non-IT domains, but you can't even get out of your own way in engineering, scaling Scrum across engineering. You have no shot at business agility at all. You're being sold a bill of goods. That's what's actually going on, because think about some of the problems. First of all, people don't understand the language at all. Secondly, not every area of the business is going to benefit from full-on Scrum, so you're going to have to be good at profiling how much to apply and where, okay? And then it's a much more complex domain, because it's not just the monolithic engineering domain. You're dealing with legal, HR, marketing, sales, leadership itself, and so on. It's like 4 times more complicated, and you can't even get out of your own way scaling Scrum and engineering. You need to take a step back from this business agility stuff and get the basic Scrum down. What do you think about that?
Well, I think about that, hearing you, I was seeing like all of these organizations that they start by scaling. They even like this SFE thing. I know that last time you said there's a good things and safe. I don't say like safe is completely evil, but for me, I despise it because a lot of people are buying a name and they applying and enforce it to their people. So for me, yes, exactly. That's my motto. I said like, do we have it? Because the first time ever I did Scrum was asked by the engineer. And so we start doing it, and we start doing iteration and increment, and it was good. We were among all the PMO back then in this great software engineering simulation software kind of company. We had the NASA as a client, so we need to deliver goods like shippable good, right?
Okay.
Even if you were simulation software for flight thing and stuff, but anyways, and our team applying the Scrum and the lean design thinking, we're always achieving, and it was not perfect then because we're learning the process and the pattern, right? But nevertheless, the company saw it as like, wow, so you guys are deliver faster and good. It wasn't just like being quick to provide the training software. It was like, say, the outcome. And so they say like, oh, could we scale it to only in the IT, within the IT PMO, okay? And then lately, and they introduced also back in the day, I know it's technical, but they introduced like a Prince 2 kind of project management thing, which is, I have to agree, is more tailored than the PMBOK type of thing, is more like open to. So that was like, I'm telling you, at the turning of the century, the Agile Manifesto was not even there. So that was great. So they try, so let's try this and this and that. And of course, the first ScrumMaster, we became those who were spreading the news in the world. But it worked for a time.
Of course.
But you're right. When the IT start to disagree between them, and this kind of, are you still there, Daniel? Okay. And this type of kind of dispute between devs and ops, without having DevOps yet. But I mean, like we start saying like, and of course the business we're looking at, okay, you deliver greater than waterfall, but you don't agree. You don't have that much capacity of showing us that we could apply it into HR, finance, blah blah blah. So the only thing I achieved at that time 20 years ago was more like, at least as a Scrum Master, with the help of the PO, mostly from the business, educate people, especially the CFO, to understand that budgetization and estimation is not the same with those kind of projects. Yeah. So that was the very least we could do back then. And today's my 3 winning team, they actually one of them in Austin, they built their company as a startup on a flat managed Scrum company. Even the 3 founder right now, they have title for the incorporation, the C-Sharp and stuff, but and the organization, they still code with the guy and they make fun with the Scrum Master. And I mean, like, so that's the decision rights is fully operational there, I think, because everyone is accountable and responsible also. If you say,
so, Alex, I want to ask you, how much more time do we have to converse here?
Well, I strive to have, let's say we have 10, 15 minutes. And of course, I'd like you to give us a pitch on this conference if you need more attendee. And I will give my promo code also after. But let's say we have 10 minutes together again to talk about these things, these great enlightening things.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about 3 things. I want to talk about the conference. I want to talk about some courses that I'm offering that I want to give your community like obscenely fantastic discounts on.
Oh.
And the last thing I want to discuss with you is the ethics of the Agile industry and why is it that there's so much bad Agile practice being bought and sold. Right? I want to do those 3 things. So the first thing is we're offering a conference on August 18th. You can go to openleadershipnetwork.com. Here's what's going to happen. During this conference, we are going to provide undeniable proof that executives are using open patterns and invited approaches to get superior results to compared to the status quo in the Agile industry today. These executives have been through it several times. They've seen how the force thing doesn't work long term, and they've gone for invited, engaging, participatory approaches that generate tremendous amounts of self-management without really giving up any authority or power at all. All they're doing is engaging and igniting the energy of their workforce. 6 executives, not consultants, telling a real story. And for the people who are listening to this now, I want you to consider going to this link. Can I put it in the chat or not? Is it okay for me to put something in the chat where the people can see it?
Actually, yeah, give it to me and I will use it, because as I said, I'm learning this too. So let's do this.
How do I do it? Oh, so I could just show like hi. I don't know how I would put it in the chat.
You have the chat. You have the chat next to share. And
yeah, but it doesn't. It won't let me because it says only the host can support it for hosts. So you have to make me a host to show the link. But while you're doing this,
anyways, but tell me and I'll
go to openleadershipnetwork.com.
Oh, it's network. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, openleadershipnetwork.com, and then click on the resources and look at the executive testimonial videos there. One is 2 minutes long, one is 15 minutes long. That's an example of what you're going to experience at the conference. Some of these people have thousands of employees under the span of their authority. Okay. And when you come out of the conference, you're going to have PDFs, checklists, guides, and videos that you can bring into your organization to spread these ideas. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I'm offering a course in these 8 patterns of open business agility coming up on the 16th of August, and I'm also offering open space agility that's starting August 30. I'll give Alex the codes for that will give the community here who's listening now, part of your community. They use the code Dare Real Agile, take 50% off the price. There's 10 tickets in each class just for this community. Okay, half.
Is it really Dare Real? Because I thought I was giving away Dare Real only. I think that was it.
Yeah, Dare Real. I'll change it after I get off. Dare Real will be the code. I'll send you a follow-up email. August 30 for the OSA class, Open Space Agility. August 16th for the Patterns class. And then, of course, you've got a code for the conference itself. So those are some things you can do to learn about how this works. And I want to just say, delegation is a lot more simple than invitation. And delegation doesn't work as good as invitation because invitation generates a tremendous amount of feedback in a way that delegation can never do. Okay? So I hope you look at the conference, look at the classes. Now let's talk about what you were talking about, Alex, which is why is all this crappy Agile being bought and sold? Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Here's why. Because if I'm a buyer, I'm an executive buyer, you have to tell me what I want to hear, and then I'm going to buy it. Okay? If you go off on me about self-management, emergence, and emergent leaders, that gets lost in translation. I'm going to show you the door, okay? I want assess, train, coach. That's what I want. Assess, train, coach. I want you to do it for me, and I want to ramrod this thing through my company. And actually, what I want to do is fund it, authorize the funding, and then I want you to take care of it for me, okay? This is what's going on in the world today. So here's what's happening. We're selling them what they're buying, and what they're buying doesn't work. And we're selling it to them because they have money to spend, okay? So I want to tell you, I'm going to show you something now that you're going to probably laugh at. All right, here's the ethics of the Agile Industrial Complex. Ready?
Yes.
There was a guy named Canada Bill Jones. He used to be a, let's see, I can't really see it. Wait. Let's see, patterns. Oh, I can't, I need to say, I can't share. For some reason, I can't share.
Why is that?
I only have a limited amount of things to share.
Because you were sharing before.
I was. Okay, here it is. Ready?
Yes.
Ready? Yes. Canada Bill Jones was a card sharp and a con man after the Civil War. He rode the rails of the United States and the riverboats, and he was a 3-card Monte expert. Here's his ethics. This is the ethics of the Agile Industrial Complex. Are you ready? Put down your beverage. Put down your beverage. Everyone who's watching, put your beverage down. Okay. Here it is.
Can I share the screen? Oh, here it is. It's coming. Et voilà.
It's morally wrong to allow suckers to keep their money. Canada Bill Jones. There you go. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. They're real agile. This is the way, guys. They're to speak up and stand up for what's right.
Come on, let's serve the client. Let's tell them
Yes,
what's here.
because people want an experience more than stuff nowadays in every aspect of our life. And actually, my product management designer and developers that I also coach, this is what they keep telling the organization. They are either part as an employee or a consultant, and nobody pay attention. Nobody's listening. And this is why I'm in full phase with the paper from Steve Denning back in April 2020, when he says, why only the agile will survive, using it as an adjective again. And for me, I prefer to be more kind of positive. I changed the survive by thrive. If you want to thrive, because surviving for me, it's kind of, no, it's not enough. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive.
Every immigrant to Canada took an agile approach if they thrived.
Yeah, but the same in the United States.
Same in the United States.
If I'm right, because I spent a lot of time in the United States, my second home. And then I was invited for Thanksgiving, and the way there's different approach of Thanksgiving, but you could see that it was a moment like, anyways, I don't want to go into, because a lot of people are politicizing it, but for me, the culture thing was these 13 colonies that suffer a lot, and they were like, they needed to be agile, because agile is not something new. It's not 20 years old, because with the Manifesto for software, and this is why they come. I mean, it's really important. It's for software development. And then after, like Jeff said in the video I catch, he said, you guys, you're great mind. You have great ideas. Make it happen like whatever you want, but you cannot change this historical artifact. Now, after, if you want to do a manifesto for this and that, be my guest, because that's the way, that's the problem. Yeah.
It's for this. It's for the red zone. Anywhere you're near the edge of chaos, anywhere you're in that red area, you need an empirical approach. Okay?
Yes.
The blue area that's boring, don't use Agile there. You don't need it. You need in the red zone, okay? This is where the action is.
Yeah, you're gonna piss off people. That's the thing. So for me, this is, if I came back to the accusation of being a purist. No, hold on a second. If you are ready, if you have capable people and you really want, and you're in a complex environment where you have to learn that software, you won't be perfect. And if you wait in a waterfall environment to go back to design after the QA, so you're losing your time. But at some point, sometimes I said, as a consultant, really bold, I said, like, no, you don't need to be agile. So you better stick to this waterfall thing. Explicit agreement.
Scrum is doing every single one of these things.
Yeah. And these patterns are part of what you teach at the Open Business Agility courses, or it's
that's right.
Okay.
Yep. The eight patterns of open business agility. Basically, if you study Scrum and you ask the question, why does it work? You're going to boil it down. It's going to come down to these patterns, okay? Now, interaction protocols, that's what we do in the daily Scrum. The daily Scrum, we say, in the early days of Scrum, we said we answer 3 questions, right? And then in the modern day, Jeff and Ken said, use any protocol you want, but get to the bottom of what's going on today.
Yes.
Okay? So they've actually relaxed Scrum so that you have more freedom than ever to implement it your way. But you got to implement these patterns.
But this is funny, Daniel, because for me, since the beginning, I'm experimenting with Scrum. Back in the last century, it was always slack. I was confronting when I started doing some mandate and to the banking industry, like, oh, all of a sudden, it needed to be exactly what the Scrum guy said. I said, like, what Scrum guy? Because I was not aware. Even being participator of Scrum Alliance, of course, I knew there was something, but I mean, like, I said, like, what Scrum guy? It's the people choice. They will have to create the pattern that's good for their development cycle and also for the business interaction. It's all about the interaction of people even beyond the Scrum team. So for me, that was a no-brainer saying this it's a slacker. Like last November, a lot of people was, Scrum is less prescribed. I said, it was never ever in any of my consulting agency that I led. It was never ever prescribed. So I didn't understand this kind of fake debate that I call like about, now all of a sudden this 25th anniversary edition of the Scrum Guide is less prescribed. I never prescribed it.
I want to offer in closing. I know we're almost out of time now, but I want to offer something. I want to describe the most evil force in the world.
Which is?
And it's in the Agile industry too. It's everywhere. It's in politics. It's everywhere. Here it is, right? Human beings are suckers for a coherent story, whether it's true or not. So this explains why people believe crazy politicians. This explains why really crappy Agile gets bought and sold every day of the week in the largest companies. It's because people are so addicted to knowing the story and knowing the right answer. They want a coherent story. So we tell the people what they want to hear, and then they buy it. And this is awful. This is awful. It's one of the worst things to happen. I mean, if we got off of this as human beings, we would progress so fast with conscious leadership, conscious capitalism, conscious everything. Just it's okay to not know the story. It's okay.
Yes. And could we experience things? So that's actually, I'm reading a book. I don't know if it's available in English. I'm gonna see it and send it to you the link because it's from an Israeli. It's called Sapiens.
I have this book, for Harari.
Yeah, and it was also the writer of Homo Deus.
Yeah, I have this book as well. Yeah.
And there's a third book from another French Israeli guy who actually talk about, I don't remember exactly the name, and even in English, bear with me. It's a gland that we have that's create this kind of dopamine.
Yeah, the pineal gland.
It's not the pineal gland. It's another thing. It's another thing and it's actually, if you read The Prince from Machiavelli, so you could understand that this dopamine is creating you like, oh yes, and it's giving us this kind of monkey mentality of shutting down and just go with the leader, the one who screamed the most, and so on, because the dopamine is providing a fake satisfaction of comfort. I don't remember, but this is really interesting because these guys, he was co-writing, the guy who wrote Sapiens and Homo Deus, collaborate with that other French guy, and they make this book. It's really it's about biogenetic and so on. So if we could cancel that land, we will possess less things, and we will be more thriving into something else than the materialistic and the sensualist of this world. And probably it could solve this kind of, because how will you describe what you just said? Like, is more like the power type of things, or?
It's about uncertainty. It's about knowing the right answer, and it's about taking all the ambiguity out of it. So when we get near chaos, we pretend we know the story. We don't know the story at all. We only know the story in the blue area, not in the red area. Okay.
And even though, do we know for sure?
We pretend we know up here.
Okay.
We don't know anything. That's why we use empirical process like Scrum. Okay. But up here, the story emerges every single day, every single week. Meanwhile, we're pretending we know the story. We don't, and that's the essence of agility. That's why you use empirical process. Yeah. But most leaders, most people can't handle ambiguity, cannot handle uncertainty, cannot handle not knowing. So when someone shows up and tells them a coherent story, it's going to be A and then B and then C, and then everything's going to be so great. They go, okay, where do I sign up for that? That's done.
Yeah. And this is why my team and we are creating this next level Agile program to actually be empirical in our consulting mandate.
Beautiful.
Because instead of giving a proposition of, we're going to do this in the next 12, 18 months of an Agile transformation, please stop it. There's no Agile transformation. You could use the principle and values of Agile to create patterns to transform. What do you transform? Your business. The way people interact together. You don't transform Agile, for God's sake. You don't scale Agile.
Well, we do need to transform the Agile industry because it's it's not serving the people anymore. It's serving something else. Right.
Yesterday, I had a kind of a cocktail and an in-person cocktail. Yes, because we're kind of free a bit in Montreal, but And the ladies, oh, so you're an agile guy, so you're just losing time of the CFO and the CTO and so on. Losing time, right? Yeah, because they don't want to hear it anymore. They apparently, so it's amazing. I mean, like people now see agile like a pestiferian, like it's they don't like it. So it's kind of so yes, and especially with the flood of people who wrote that it's failing. But for me, it's kind of a counter productive things. Because, and this is why I call out the other coaches out there and the other consultants. Could we, and this is why I do this kind of live every week, to tell another side of the story and saying like, you could have the opinion you want, but the factual empirical thing, if you never try it for real, yes, as a purist, excuse me, of course you're going to fail. Because at sometimes, it's like the Shu Ari movement from Alistair Cockburn, I think, huh?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you did martial art. I did martial art. And when you learn a lot of things, new language and the state of mind, because I did Kung Fu mostly, so you have to be in a state of mind. And when I've been introduced to Reiki, the kind of a medicine, the same thing. So you cannot know right away everything and be perfect. So you need some to, scale it for yourself. And the Shuari, at first I said like, okay, you hire me as an agile coach. So don't bring me stuff from Ken Schreiber already, because you could hire him as I don't know if he's still working, but I mean, he will cost you more than me. But so let's stay in the shoe right now. So you learn from one master, and then when you be able and you'll be ready to challenge me with others and start creating your community of practice, like Agile Boston or what have you, you know what I mean? So now you could like confront what you've learned from Daniel Mezick, the great coach, or Alexandre, the great coach. And then after, when you get the thing, now you are probably the teacher yourself because you get enough experience. So that's the thing too. And probably we should maybe do another one at some point and try to invite other people. I would love to have a Friday Live Agile with 3-4 people of not the same agreement, because I'd like to have a kind of a sane debate on this certification industry, because I think the certification, and it is one of my favorite part on Dave Thomas go-to video when he said like you're receiving pop-ups on the Google ads. Yeah. Like, don't think and get certified. Don't think.
Hold on. I want to say one thing about this for 30 seconds.
Yeah, go.
Formal education is not delivering on its promise. It takes too long. It's very expensive. You come out with debt and you don't get a job. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So certification is a self-managed response by human beings to produce something better. So I can go and within a year, I can get a couple of certifications. I can go to a conference. I can meet people. I can enter an industry, and I can start to make money. So not all certification is evil. Some of it is really, it's a self-managed, self-organized response to the failure of formal higher education. I want to offer you people one more thing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's have this conversation about how invitations generate real decisions, and decisions generate engagement, and engagement generates results. That's what the invitation-based change conference is all about. And I hope everyone will consider coming to this conference. And I want you to come and talk at Agile Boston and at a future conference of ours. And if you're ever down this way, we're about 6 hours away from Montreal.
Yeah.
If you're on your way to New York City or coming through New England, I want you to stop at my house and stay over, okay?
Thank you for the invitation. But the future is bright, I think, in this uncertainty time. I'm just seeing the light. And thank you again, Daniel, for participating in my holy, my daring things of speaking up and standing up for what is right so far with the information we know. Because I'm open like this. I'm a dropout of physics, so I understand that it's not monolithic. I might think I'm right now, but as you mentioned with the chaos to boring, yes. So we need a lot of people, they don't like it when they answer me a straight question, and I answer like, it depends. Could you give me some more context to answer the question?
Right.
Because you could be a know-it-all, but you don't know.
That's because they want a coherent story. They don't want to hear the nuance. They want to hear the black and white, up or down, true or false, yes or no.
But that's the laziness of the monkey we are. Like Terence McKenna used to say, we are a monkey who thinks who think.
Apes with clothes.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Danielle. And have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.